awkward.
The most terrifying camping encounters happen when simple outdoor adventures spiraled out of control. From getting towed down a highway with total brake failure to nearly stepping on a massive hidden snake at a campsite, would you have survived if your peaceful trip turned this dangerous? On December 10, 2022, the creator behind Love Sundays, a channel focused on van camping travel and surfing, began a winter stealth camping trip near Cornwall, England. From the start, small problems hinted that the journey might not go as planned. The night began inside his Vauxhall Vivaro at a paid coastal parking area. The weather was bitterly cold, several warning lights were already glowing on the dashboard, and there was no phone signal.
There's also loads of lights on my dash now. It started off with just like a battery light and a stoplight. I went to Halfords, they checked the battery, they checked the alternator, and there was no faults found. But just driving down here, now the ABS lights come on, and the passenger airbag lights come on. I don't know what it is, but something's not right.
By morning, the electric blanket had drained the battery, the engine struggled to start, and his new GoPro stopped working during the surfing trip.
GoPro sent me this GoPro Hero 11 Mini to use, and today was the first time trying it out. And halfway through being out there, this red light came on, and it just stopped recording. And because these have got built-in batteries that you can't remove, I couldn't record anything else, so I've got to wait for it to run out.
Later, while driving along the A30, the speedometer suddenly went dark. Seconds later, the van lost all power and the engine shut down completely.
Well, that didn't sound good, did it? So that's probably the worst my battery sounded on startup. So the speedo cut out and then the engine just completely stopped. So I phoned the AA. They're sending the police because I'm on the A30 and there's no real hard shoulder here.
He managed to stop on a narrow section of road with no emergency shoulder. Traffic continued rushing past at high speed, leaving the van exposed to a serious risk of being struck from behind. The location was so dangerous that police had to arrive and protect the scene, while a recovery vehicle prepared to tow him away. Even then, the danger was not over. With the engine off, the braking and steering assistance no longer worked normally. The brake pedal became extremely hard and the van moved dangerously close behind the recovery truck before finally reaching a garage safely. Several viewers believe the warning lights pointed to a charging fault, suggesting the breakdown may have begun long before the van reached the A30. Should the trip have ended as soon as those warning lights appeared? On August 26, 2022, Bob and Sandy from Rocking the Retired Life, a channel about retirement travel and RV camping, returned with Cosmo to Sweetwater River Resort in Cotopaxi, Colorado, where a quiet walk soon became uncertain. Their visit began like a normal RV camping trip. The resort was busier than before, and Bob and Sandy planned to walk toward the river with Cosmo. They crossed the wooden bridge and looked over the new campsites being built behind the resort. Gravel covered the path and the area seemed calm. Then Bob noticed something large lying close to the walkway. Cosmo was moving ahead, so Bob quickly stopped the dog from getting closer.
Come on, Cosmo. Whoa, hang on, there's a rattlesnake over here. Yeah, it looks like a rattle. Keep him over there.
Oh my god.
I don't think that's a rattlesnake though, even though he looks like one. I don't see a rattle. I'm not gonna hurt you.
The snake had a thick body and patterned skin. At first, its size and appearance made them fear it might be a rattlesnake. Bob stayed at a reasonable distance while filming and taking pictures.
I just want to get one more shot of this guy. I'm not going to get too close. You might see this guy, but I don't think he's poisonous, even though he doesn't look very friendly. I'm trying to figure out if that's a water snake or it's not a copperhead. He's too big and he doesn't have the right markings.
They checked the tail and markings more carefully. The couple considered several possibilities, including a rat snake, king snake, or water snake. Later, after speaking with a local campground guide, they learned it was a gopher snake. It was not venomous and helps control rodents. Far from populated areas, they repeatedly moved closer without protective gear, before knowing whether the snake was dangerous. Fortunately, it was non-venomous, and their peaceful trip continued. A family was enjoying an afternoon at a waterfall when the father noticed something hidden near the shore. Among the rocks and fallen branches, a massive crocodile lay completely still. Its camouflage made it nearly invisible. Realizing how close they were, the father quickly told everyone to get out of the water. Crocodiles often stay motionless near shorelines, making them difficult to spot. Would you have seen it in time? A strange call echoed across a remote lake. At first it sounded familiar, but the longer the hiker listened, the harder it became to explain. In September 2024, a man was hiking near Dry Lake in California's San Gorgonio wilderness when he heard unusual sounds coming from across the lake. He initially thought they were coyotes, but the calls became stranger as he continued listening. He stopped and recorded the sounds because they did not match the coyote calls he recognized. Some people familiar with wildlife believed coyotes may have been calling alongside another animal. Others suggested that echoes traveling across the lake had distorted the noise. Sound can change as it travels across open water, making familiar animal calls seem distant or unnatural. But was the recording only distorted coyote noise, or was something else answering from the forest? On August 28, 2024, Dee's Dark Adventures shared footage submitted by Jared W. Strange. Screeching came from a field before the hunter noticed a shape blending into the crops. The figure was difficult to make out, almost as if it were camouflaged against the surrounding vegetation. It may have been a wild boar or another animal partly hidden among the plants. However, the hunter claimed it did not resemble anything familiar, while also admitting that he could not explain what he was seeing. Unfortunately, the footage was never clear enough to confirm what was standing in the field. On October 25, 2025, a trail camera in a wooded area north of Carthage, Missouri, photographed a man crossing private property while holding what appeared to be a weapon. After seeing the image, the property owner contacted law enforcement. Authorities later identified the man as 37-year-old Justin Wayne Thomas. During an interview with detectives, Thomas reportedly acknowledged that he knew he did not have permission to be on the property. Investigators later determined that the object visible in the photograph was a BB gun rather than a firearm. Following the investigation, Thomas was charged with first-degree trespassing and taken into custody. Even though the object was only a BB gun, the owner could not have known that from the image. Finding an unknown person carrying it across private land would still leave many people feeling unsafe. How would you react after finding this image on your own property? On April 16, 2022, a trail camera set up in a forest to record passing wildlife captured something unexpected. Most nights it showed only ordinary animals. Then one image revealed something very different. Partly hidden behind a tree was an upright figure facing the camera. Only what appeared to be its head and shoulders were visible beside the trunk. It may have been a person, but the shape of the head looked unusual. With no additional images or video, there was no way to confirm what the camera had captured that night. Low light and partial cover can easily distort a familiar shape. But was this simply a person behind the tree, or something else watching the camera? While checking the recording, the man noticed something he had missed at the time. For only a brief second, what looked like a woman was standing in the darkness. Almost immediately after appearing, the figure vanished from view. Because the footage lasted only a few seconds, there was no way to identify who or what had been recorded. To the man, however, the encounter felt supernatural. Low light and brief footage can make ordinary shapes difficult to recognize. But was this simply someone passing through the darkness, or did the camera capture something unexplained? In January 2026, two fishermen paused their boat on Brazil's Rio Negro to refuel when they suddenly heard screaming from somewhere across the river. Moments later, they noticed a woman partly submerged in the water. She appeared to be screaming and speaking to herself, yet she never looked toward the boat or asked the fishermen for help. People familiar with the area said there were no homes nearby, making it unclear how she had reached such a remote location. No confirmed information about her identity or what happened afterward was ever released. But why did the woman ignore the boat, and who was she? During the camping trip, the man set up the camera to capture any animals moving through the area at night. It recorded quietly for several hours. When he reviewed the footage the next morning, he noticed what looked like a girl standing near a tree in the distance. She appeared to be wearing a long white dress and facing his tent. Her clothing, the late hour, and the isolated location made her presence difficult to explain. The camper wondered who she was, why she was alone, and whether she might have been lost or needed help. But was this girl simply lost, or had she been silently watching the tent? A trail camera deep in the woods captured something difficult to identify. Its appearance immediately raised questions. The footage showed a short, hairy creature standing on two legs. It was much smaller than a person, yet it did not clearly resemble any familiar animal. Some thought it was a raccoon, but its movements seemed unusual. Limited footage made identification difficult. Was it simply an animal distorted by the camera or something else? The forest suddenly became completely silent. While recording the strange change, a woman unknowingly captured something behind her on the trail. A Nepali woman was hiking through a remote forest when she noticed that every natural sound had stopped. There were no birds or insects. Nothing could be heard. She recorded the silence on her phone, but later noticed a distant shape behind her along the trail.
What is that?
Frightened by the discovery, she quickly left the area, believing something may have been watching her. Wildlife may become quiet after detecting movement or a nearby threat. But was the distant shape simply an animal or another hiker, or had something been following her? In May 2023, 60-year-old Marta Renee Brown from North Carolina was hiking a section of the Appalachian Trail near Kent, Connecticut with two friends. The group stopped at a campsite for the night. The next morning, her companions discovered that Marta was gone. Her phone and hiking gear were still at the campsite, making her disappearance even more concerning. Authorities began a large search across remote sections of the trail. Ground teams, helicopters, drones, ATVs, and volunteer firefighters searched the heavily wooded area. Officials believed Marta may have wandered away from the campsite and become lost in an isolated part of the trail. Several days passed without any sign of her. Then Marta encountered other hikers several miles south of the location where she had last been seen. She used one of their phones to call 911. Authorities confirmed that she had been found alive and transported for emergency care. The search ended safely, but one question remained. How had she disappeared during the night without taking any of her belongings? Leaving behind a phone and hiking equipment removes important clues about a missing person's route and condition. Why did Marta leave the campsite alone without taking anything with her? He returned for another overnight camp. After dark, a distant scream echoed through the forest. Then something suddenly woke him. On February 6, 2026, Exploring with Brad premiered a video titled, "Something Outside My Tent While Camping." In the video, Brad returned to Ontario's so-called Bigfoot forest for another night alone. As evening arrived, strange noises began carrying through the woods. One of them sounded like a woman screaming somewhere far away.
I thought that I heard something out that way. I don't know. It's coming from that side again. It sounded like a person, like a woman or something. Is anyone out there? What the hell's going on?
Brad eventually tried to ignore the sounds and went to sleep, but a short time later, something suddenly woke him. Disturbed by what had happened, he packed his equipment and started leaving the forest. The noises continued as he walked. He heard footsteps, laughter, and movement in the darkness. Yet whenever he stopped and looked around, no one was visible.
Oh my god. I thought I heard something just say, "Leave us now." Is anyone out there? Yo, what the hell was that? This place is pretty scary though. Not gonna lie. sorry I stopped. I thought I heard footsteps. But coming forward, like coming right at me from over here. Still not seeing anything on that side. Oh man. That was laughing. Coming from over here. It sounded like a girl laughing. Hello?
At night, distance and dense trees can distort familiar sounds, making animals or people seem closer than they are. But if no one was visible, what kept following Brad through the forest? A security camera at a commercial parking lot in the Canadian mountains recorded something unusual. As an orange car moved through the area, a white transparent figure suddenly crossed its path. The figure appeared to walk naturally across the scene before vanishing completely. The driver showed no visible reaction, suggesting they may not have noticed anything. The footage does not resemble an obvious camera malfunction, making the strange figure difficult to explain. Was this only an optical effect, or did something cross the parking lot unseen? On June 5, 2025, a hiker recorded an unusual object flying over Shayuku Reservoir in Beijing. The footage showed a small metallic sphere moving above the water. The object appeared to change both speed and altitude before briefly hovering in one position. According to the witness, it later disappeared behind a nearby hill. About 30 minutes afterward, the same object returned along the same section of sky. The witness said the evening was completely calm, making a freely drifting balloon seem less likely. A drone remains one possible explanation, but the recording does not provide enough detail to confirm that theory. Was it a balloon, a drone, or something the footage never clearly revealed? Jacqueline Faye Metis shared a photograph taken by her son while he was hiking with his father in the woods near Baltimore, Maryland. The area contains abandoned forts and historic ruins connected to the American Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. While exploring one of the overgrown structures, they stopped beside an old wooden cross and took a picture before continuing along the trail. When the family reviewed the image later, they noticed a face-like shape peeking from behind the cross near the man's feet. According to them, no one else was nearby when the photograph was taken. Shadows, plants, and overlapping objects can sometimes form patterns that resemble faces. But was this only an optical illusion, or was something truly hiding behind the cross? A woman was exercising in the mountains near the edge of a wooded area when she decided to record part of her workout. At the time, nothing seemed unusual. After returning home and reviewing the video, she noticed something she had completely missed. Near the tree line, two glowing eyes appeared to be staring at her from the darkness. The same eyes showed up repeatedly throughout the recording, raising questions about what had been watching her from the woods. Animal eyes can reflect light and appear to glow on camera, especially in dark surroundings. But if that was only wildlife, why did it remain near her for so long? A farm camera in Peru captured something difficult to explain. The security footage reportedly showed someone sitting in a field beside the well. Moments later, the figure stood and seemed to distort into a dark column of mist before moving toward the well.
That's my Nurcos.
Because no verified background information was provided, it is impossible to confirm what the camera actually recorded. Video compression and low light can distort movement and erase details. But was this only a camera artifact, or did something unusual happen near the well? In 2019, a trail camera placed deep in a forest recorded a disturbing daytime image. Partly visible through thick vegetation was what looked like an unclothed man holding an unknown object in his left hand. Because only one photograph was captured, there was no way to identify him or determine why he was there. Some believed he was simply a person wandering through the area. However, his appearance and the isolated location made the image especially unsettling. Whatever the explanation, this was not something anyone would normally expect a wildlife camera to capture in a remote forest. A single photo cannot reveal a person's purpose or what happened next. Was he only passing through, or had the camera recorded something more concerning? On January 18, 2026, Facebook user Mary Glenn Smith Miller shared a trail camera photo showing what appeared to be a large furry figure walking past the lens. According to her, the camera was positioned near the center of a property covering roughly 1,000 acres. Mary said family members regularly monitored the land, but none of them recognized the figure or expected anyone to be in that area. Although several cameras had been installed across the property, the unknown visitor reportedly appeared on only one. After the photograph was posted, viewers were divided. Many believed it was a trespasser poacher or family member wearing a ghillie suit, while others suspected Bigfoot or even a staged image. Was it simply someone in camouflage, or did the camera capture something genuinely unknown? A hiker noticed something unusually dark standing among the trees. Instead of leaving, he raised his camera. The figure appeared almost completely jet black, with only its eyes clearly standing out. The person who uploaded the footage believed it might have been a jinn. Some viewers even compared its size and appearance to Bigfoot. Others offered a simpler explanation. It may have been a person wearing a dark hoodie and some kind of mask. However, the footage did not provide enough detail to confirm any theory. Deep shadows and dark clothing can hide a person's outline at a distance. But was this merely a disguised hiker or something far more difficult to explain? In July 2025, Facebook user Doug Mackey shared a trail camera image showing 2 deer among the trees. The deer in front appeared normal, but the one farther back looked very different. Its neck seemed twisted at an impossible angle, giving the animal an unnatural appearance. Doug stated that the photograph had not been edited, leaving viewers unsure how to explain what they were seeing. Some believed the camera simply captured the deer while it was turning its head or moving. Hopefully that was the case, because any other explanation would suggest the animal was in serious trouble. On May 29, 2026, the Instagram account Arsonation2019 shared footage recorded by a kayaker on a lake in the United States. As the small boat drifted among the flooded trees, a massive alligator slowly came into view only a short distance away. Seeing an alligator that large from such close range quickly made the peaceful boat ride feel far less relaxing. Most of an alligator's body remains underwater, making its true size and distance difficult to judge from a boat. How would you react if one suddenly appeared that close? In 2004, researchers investigating Skinwalker Ranch recorded footage that did not appear unusual at this time. Years later, while examining the video one frame at a time, they discovered something they had completely missed. For a brief moment, an unexplained shape appeared inside the marked area before seemingly fading away. The shape did not clearly resemble anything familiar. Some viewers considered it one of the strangest possible pieces of paranormal evidence recorded at the ranch. Others believed it was simply a camera artifact or visual anomaly. Old video can contain compression errors or lighting changes that create strange shapes. But was this only a visual glitch, or did the camera record something truly unexplained? On May 4, 2026, someone hiking through a mountainous area recorded a strange figure. It did not match the usual descriptions of Bigfoot. Instead of looking broad and heavily built, the figure appeared extremely tall and thin. Its body was hunched while its unusually long arms extended below its knees. Large hands also stood out against its narrow frame. The figure remained visible for only a moment before vanishing from view. Whatever the hiker recorded has never been identified. Distance and perspective can distort body proportions, especially in brief footage. But was this simply a person captured from an unusual angle, or something that remains unexplained? A hiker was moving through the mountains when 2 glowing eyes suddenly appeared inside the bushes. As he aimed his camera toward them, the hidden animal slowly became visible. Without that reflection, he might never have noticed it. His flashlight had revealed a mountain lion concealed among the vegetation. Its coat blended so closely with the surrounding plants and mountainside that most of its body was nearly impossible to see. A mountain lion's eyes can reflect light, while its coat helps it disappear into brush and rocky terrain. The encounter showed how easily these predators can remain hidden. How close could one be before you noticed it without that reflection? In 2024, footage captured by Caleb Lewis of a tense encounter with a bull moose in a remote forest spread online and drew widespread attention. The animal stood its ground while Caleb tried to remain calm nearby. For several seconds, neither of them moved. Then, with little warning, the bull moose charged toward him.
Hey! away!
Fortunately, Caleb escaped without serious injury. According to information shared with the video, bull moose can weigh more than 1,000 pounds. These animals may charge when they feel threatened or crowded even after appearing calm. Was the attack unpredictable, or had Caleb moved too close? TikTok user crocodile 1893 returned home and noticed a branch suspended about 20 to 30 feet above his yard. Unable to explain what he was seeing, he recorded the strange sight and posted it online.
It's floating there. As far as I zoom in on.
He looked for possible answers, asked a neighbor to examine it, and even threw objects toward the branch. Nothing seemed to reveal why it remained hanging in midair.
My dog's weirded out.
His dog also appeared unsettled by the unusual sight. The video quickly went viral, but the creator later revealed that the entire scene had been staged. He had used a concealed support and showed viewers how the illusion was created. Even after the explanation, some people refused to accept it. They claimed he had been pressured into hiding what really happened. Hidden supports and careful camera angles can make simple objects appear impossible. But why did some viewers trust the mystery more than the creator's own explanation? A group visiting Bwindi Impenetrable National Park in Uganda experienced an unforgettable moment during a gorilla trekking tour. A large blackback gorilla calmly approached the group and passed within arm's reach. Instead of panicking, everyone remained completely still. Park guides normally instruct visitors to stay at least 10 meters away from gorillas. However, the animals sometimes choose to come closer on their own. When this happens, visitors are advised to crouch down, remain calm, avoid eye contact, and make no sudden movements. Thankfully, the gorilla continued past them, without incident, leaving the tourists with a rare and frightening encounter. Would you have stayed calm with an animal that powerful only inches away? While visiting Nebraska, one person witnessed a hailstorm unlike anything they had seen before. Large, dense hailstones began falling with tremendous force. The footage showed repeated impacts strong enough to crack windows and cause serious property damage. Some pieces of hail were extremely large, making the area dangerous for anyone caught outdoors. Severe hailstorms can intensify quickly and become life-threatening within minutes. If this began while you were outside, where would you find protection fast enough? 31-year-old Brittany Clark was hiking with her boyfriend and several friends in a state forest outside Orlando, Florida. Afterward, the group entered the Ekan-Lockhatchee River to cool down. Officials said the water was only about 3 feet deep. Brittany and the others were swimming with their dogs when a large alligator suddenly attacked her. Her boyfriend immediately tried to pull her away while their friends called 911. The emergency call recorded the confusion as everyone nearby attempted to help. First responders arrived quickly, but Brittany had suffered severe injuries. Authorities said she passed away while being transported to the hospital. Wildlife officials later removed 2 large alligators from the area during their investigation. The attack occurred in a natural part of the river without a designated swimming area. Warning signs about alligator activity had reportedly been posted nearby. Our thoughts remain with Brittany's family, friends, and loved ones during this difficult time. Serious attacks are uncommon, but alligators may inhabit any Florida freshwater area, even calm, shallow water. Would you have recognized the danger before entering the river? A person noticed the unusually large bird and began recording it. The animal appeared much bigger than an ordinary hawk or owl.
The caption calls it Mothman, but the face...
However, its size was not the only detail that caught viewers' attention. Many pointed to its forward-facing eyes and unusual expression, claiming its face looked strangely human. Some believed the creature resembled Mothman, while others suspected the footage may have been created with AI. Was this simply a large bird, an AI-generated image, or something stranger? During a hike through the mountains, the person discovered a tarantula infected by a parasitic fungus known as cordyceps. The fungus enters the spider's body and gradually takes control. It eventually drives the tarantula to climb to a place where its spores can spread more easily. After the spider dies, the fungus continues growing through its body and completes its life cycle. The sight may resemble something from a horror movie, but it is a real process found in nature. Fortunately, the cordyceps species that infect spiders are not known to infect humans. The visible growth helps release spores and continue the fungus's life cycle. Does knowing the science make this discovery less frightening or even more disturbing? Afraid of spiders or anything that resembles them? Consider this your warning. Deep inside a cave, explorers found the walls and floor covered with moving shapes. Hundreds of strange creatures crawled in every direction. At first, they looked like giant spiders, but they were actually camel crickets. These unusual insects have long legs, curved bodies, and powerful jumping ability. Unlike spiders, they do not produce webs or use venom. However, when frightened, they can leap several feet, making a close encounter especially unsettling. Camel crickets thrive in dark, damp places such as caves where large groups can gather without being noticed. Even after learning what they were, the sight of hundreds covering one area would be enough to make many explorers turn back. Would you keep exploring after finding this many? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.